Let's go then. Let's go. Here we go.
Welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room. Please visit our website, https://RABR.KAILEJOHANSEN.US. There you can find links to send us feedback, connect to us on social media, or instructions on how to load the podcast onto your device. I'm Kyle John Johansson. This is Andrew Scott Sutton and Rick Ross Bosley. It's time to talk Star Wars.
Had to grab a thing to unbox. So it's today we're reviewing a Star Wars story called Solo, which is maybe not quite the origin story of Han Solo, but close to it. And we're gonna beg you for feedback, and we're gonna, I don't know, we might discuss for a minute about the new show coming out, but there's not a lot to discuss, and then do an unboxing.
Whoa.
Unboxing. I don't even know which one it is yet. They're all sealed up.
Haven't unboxed it.
It's all sealed up yet. Hasn't been opened and retaped or nothing. Just kidding. All right, so we did that. Let's do the feedback real quick. Feedback. So we got the email address, feedback@kylejohansson.us. We have a link on our website. If you go to the left-hand side, there's a link. You fill out the form there, and it comes right to us. We're on Twitter/X at super_duper_pod. We're on Blue Sky, which is growing really fast since X decided to change some of their policies recently. They've grown by about 5 million in the last week or so. So anyway, I've got a lot of followers from them. So on Blue Sky, we're at Rebel Alliance Briefing Room, all one word. So in the last week, we've probably gained about 40 followers on Blue Sky, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I advertise a little bit on there, just say, hey, look for us here, and this is our stuff, so people have been noticing, I guess. We're also on YouTube. We've got comments for the audio and the video on YouTube. We usually have both of those on Apple Music also, but we've had some issues with the host for the video, so we've only got audio up there right now, but we're all good there. Leave us comments, send us feedback, please. We desperately need someone to talk to. We're bored talking to ourselves. So there's that. So let me push it again. Feedback. All right. So that means we'll do an unboxing real quick. Let me get myself situated while it claps and plays this. Now we have a special treat. It's unboxings. Use the camera readjustments. Oh no, there's a doggy.
Ooh, it's a Wookiee.
It is a Wookiee.
It's
Here's
a
our
Wookiee.
box. Here's our handy cutting tools. Yeah. Just a letter opener, like Scott likes to say.
Be careful, that's sharp.
There we go. That's better. All right, so here we go. Unboxing. Let's get some applause. Oh, look at this. It's a box inside of a box.
Oh,
Don't read it. It tells you what it is.
crazy boxers. You should have Golden son.
I saw it.
Boxer.
Oh, look.
I see something. Oh.
Can you see it? Do I have to turn off the light so you can see it better? Here we go. That's a little better. So it says Darth Vader. This is a special edition version. He's kind of like a bronze looking color. What's it say? It
Zoom it
says
up.
Darth Vader. So let's just pretend that this is a celebration of the late voice of Darth Vader.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. So this is
get it closer.
288.
There we go. Yeah.
288.
288.
And
awesome.
he's just standing there in his Darth Vader suit. No lightsaber. Let me see here.
He doesn't have his lightsaber?
Yeah, he does. You can't hardly see it though.
Okay.
It's over in the corner there. You can barely see it.
I gotcha.
It's not turned on, so it's not red.
Yeah.
So there's that. Here's the side view. You can't really see it in the side view either.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. I like that color.
Yeah, it's a dark bronze color, right?
Yeah.
Here's the back. It just says Star Wars Darth Vader. So it's basically celebrating Darth Vader, and I think it has to do with the 40 years thing.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Here's the other side.
No one else in his collection. It's just him.
Wait a minute. That's what the problem was. That's why he doesn't have it. His arm's cut off.
Oh, even cooler.
He has no arm, and there's a little. That's part of his cape, I think, but
yeah, that's
his arm's cut off. Okay, remember 288, Darth Vader. And since I didn't know what this was, I'm not prepared, which is fine. So let's go to
shame.
Wikipedia. And let's fix the camera while I'm doing that. Back on me. Ah,
there you are.
Sorry to scare you.
Hazel ran away.
All right, so on this page, let's pull it over so I'm not looking at my profile as much. Let's type in. Where's my search button? Darths. There's so many Darths it doesn't know what to find.
Yeah, it's like a list of probably 100. 280. Was it 288?
Yes. Darth Vader. Let's go with this one here. Here we go. So Darth Vader, as we know, was previously known as Anakin Skywalker. And as he turned over to the dark side, he became Darth Vader. Great. The page reloaded. He is known in the Empire as the enforcer of Palpatine, and he definitely enforces. He is one of the cruelest of all of his enforcers. He has no mercy for anyone, and he attacks, and if he needs to kill, he does. He usually doesn't. He usually kills if he doesn't need it. He just has no patience. He just wipes you out. As we know, Anakin started out as a slave, worked his way off of the planet by Qui-Gon, basically training him, pledging to train him, but Qui-Gon died, and we have Obi-Wan Kenobi was his master. He was a huge part of the Clone Wars, major contributor to the outcome, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Don't know if we actually won the Clone Wars or not. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. Apprentice, and he somehow had the ear of Shiv Palpatine before he became, you know, over the council, and then over he declared himself Emperor of the Galaxy. And right before he declared himself Emperor, that's when he knighted Anakin to be Darth Vader. I'm just saying stuff off the top of my head mostly. I'm looking over this thing, and it's quite long. So,
well, he was the senator from Naboo, which is where Annie's wife.
right. Amidala.
Yeah, yeah.
That was her name. Her name was Padme. Yes.
Padme,
Trying to find her thing up here. There it is. Padme Amidala. I have a few bobbleheads of her as well.
Yeah. Which was kind of what turned him, because he knew that she was going to die
from birth of his children.
Yep.
Which were kept secret from him for most of his life until the last minute, when he pretty much had his arm cut off again, similar to this picture, this bobblehead. Yep. And he died in his son's arms, Luke's arms, turning back to the light side, we assume, because his Force ghost is Anakin and not Darth Vader.
True.
A young Anakin, as a matter of fact. I guess when you're a Force ghost, you can look like whatever you want to look like.
Yeah.
He was a major part of most of the major battles during the Clone Wars, and like I said, he was the major enforcer for Palpatine. He is also the one who killed Count Dooku on his path to the dark side.
True.
Blah blah blah. Yeah. So Darth Vader is also the one who tried to get the plans to the Death Star off of the ship that Princess Leia was on, and then followed them to Lando's
Sky City.
Sky City. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the name of it was called. It's a weird name, but anyway, that's pretty much Darth Vader. There's a lot more, and there's actually a whole comic book series dedicated to him. That would be very interesting to read. I haven't read it, but most people say it's pretty good, so I recommend that. It'd be nice if they actually made a series of movies about it. That'd be great. Because there is a lot there, and he is an interesting character in the whole.
Well, haven't they?
He's a main character.
They've done some talks of doing a series on him, right? Kind of like they did with Obi-Wan.
Yeah, they have.
So it'd be cool if they would do that.
I think, I sent you guys a link about a series that's in discussion called the Jedi Knights or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that's supposed to be before the prequels. So it's more in Obi-Wan Kenobi's time before he's a Padawan, which he's a Padawan when we first see him anyway.
Yeah,
but it's right when he starts as a Padawan kind of time is what it's supposedly is. So maybe we'll see Darth Plagueis in it and such too, because that's Darth Plagueis' time too.
True.
But that'd be kind of cool. That'd be interesting to see, and maybe if they get good results on that, maybe that'll have them come up with something else. I think so. A lot of people at Disney are talking like the environment's too saturated. There's too much out there. People are bored of Star Wars because there's too much. There's too much to consume basically, and I think they've been trying to slow down a little bit. I think that's a little bit of what we've seen, but also a little bit of it is probably related to catching up with the pandemic and stuff too. They had a lot of stuff in the works that was trying to go in they had to stop a lot of it. So
True.
okay, so that was 288. Let me log that real quick in my log so I don't forget to do it later. Let's see, because I had to go through and take pictures of these because I have a photo album of all my bobbleheads. So when I go and buy another one, I don't buy one that I already have.
Gotcha.
Let me log this down so I can get all the documentation and stuff for the website. All right, so Star Wars Stories Solo. This is one of the first movies that was not a Skywalker type of movie. That's why they call them Star Wars Stories, because they're not related to the Skywalker series, which is all the major movies that are out right now. It was released on May 25th, 2018. The total runtime was 135 minutes, which is a very long time, 2 hours and something. Budget was 250 million. That's quite a bit compared to, some of the other movies, especially the prequels. All of them are less than that. This took place 10 before the Battle of Yavin, which is the first movie. The first one that was released, let's say, number 4. And there was a prologue in there where it was 13, the Battle of Yavin. Mostly, I think that's mostly during the beginning. So they skip ahead in the future when he's actually in the army or whatever, the Imperial Army. And that's 13. So it starts out when he's with Lady Proxima, and that's 10 before the Battle of Yavin. So just to kind of get an idea there. Director was Ron Howard. Writers were Lawrence Kasdan and Jon Kasdan. I think Jon is like his brother or his son, maybe. I don't remember exactly what the relationship is, but they're related. Music was most of it was done by John Powell, but there was some original music from the Star Wars movies that were like Han Solo's theme and such and such. It was done by John Williams. Some of the Star Wars music, of course. They do a little bit of the Star Wars music in the open credits, but this is one of the first ones where they don't have, the giant scrolling thing going on in there like they do in all the other ones. They have the prelogue on the screen. We could call it a crawl, but it shows a paragraph and then pulls up another paragraph and kind of rolls through it instead of scrolling like our previous ones. And I have a whole list of characters that were in the movie. There's quite a few people in it. We have Alden Ehrenreicb, who plays Han Solo, of course. Joonas Suotamo, who plays Chewbacca. Woody Harrelson, who plays Beckett. Tobias Beckett, I think is his full name. Emilia Clarke, who plays Qi'ra, which she's a very gorgeous woman.
Danny, half the dragon, or
Glover.
Game of Thrones. She's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she's in there too. She
Danny
has some good sex scenes in there, doesn't she?
Yeah. Sure.
Donald Glover, who plays Lando Calrissian. Who I heard recently that he has publicly said that the Lando movie is still in I wouldn't say production, but it's being written. Him and his brother are writing it.
Cool.
His production team is taking over. He formed his own production team during his recent popularity. Thandiwe Newton plays Val, the female character in this one that dies early on.
Thomas Beckett's girlfriend.
Yeah. Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays L337. If you're any type of tech guy that's been around for a while, L337 is leet speak for leet, LEET, which whatever you want to take from that. Paul Brittany plays Dryden Boss. He's got a lot of scars. Jon Favreau is actually in the movie, but he's a voice. Yeah, so you don't see his face. He plays Rio, the guy that has multiple arms. Erin Kellyman is Enfys Nest, when it's the girl that takes her the mask off. I think closer to the end of the movie.
Yep.
Linda Hunt plays Lady Proxima, a voice again.
Yep.
Ian Kinney plays Rebolt. I think that's one of those robots. I don't know who Rebolt is. Oh, that's the guy one of the guys that's the enforcer for Lady Proxima.
Oh yeah.
He's got a mask on. He's a worm too, so it's you can't really tell who he is.
It's to protect him from the sun.
Okay, so Anna Franconi plays the Imperial immigration officer that lets them through with the coaxium. Andrew Woodall is the recruitment officer that comes up with the name Solo. Han doesn't really have a last name because he doesn't really want to know his family, even though his dad was actually one of the people that was building the VCX 100, which he talks about in the movie. Warwick Davis plays Weasel, which I think is a character. I don't think it's his face is shown. It's more of a voice kind of thing. Maybe he's got a mask on. I don't know, but I'm not going to go through a lot of these things. Mud Trooper, we don't care about those. We don't even know. Clint Howard played Ralakili. Clint Howard, I think, is one of Ron's children.
Brother.
Jeez. Brother, maybe?
It's his brother. He's the one that's kind of got the goofy, like, goofy grin or whatever.
Yeah. You're right. Let's see who else looks interesting.
There was a lot of big names in this. I guess I didn't realize Linda Hunt played Lady Proxima or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And
it's just a voice, so it's hard to tell when they're voice actors. It's hard to tell.
But still, like, they got them.
She's the one that was in that CSI thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was NCIS.
That's it.
NCIS. She's also the principal that was in Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
We also have, I think, one last person that's in here that's worth talking about is Sam Witter, plays Darth Maul. He's the voice of Darth Maul. Ray Park is the actual physical manifestation. Don't know why they don't use Ray's voice, but they use Sam Whittier. Sam is in a lot of the animated stuff as the voice as well too. So,
gotcha. That's probably why.
Right. So in the prologue at the beginning scene, we see the stuff on the words on the screen. It says, "It is a lawless time. Crime syndicates compete for resources, food, medicine, and hyperfuel." I guess we got a message from Scott. He's not going to join us. He's drugged up, he says.
Yeah. Just saw that.
Okay, so on the shipping planet of Corellia, the foul Lady Proxima forces runaways into a life of crime in exchange for shelter and protection. On the mean streets, a young man fights for survival but yearns to fly among the stars.
Dreaming big.
Yeah, so then we join him. He's escaping from some people, and he hotwires a speeder, an M68 land speeder it's called. And it's actually in a city called Corinth City. He drives along, and eventually he puts his little golden dice chain on the windscreen. Where they're, they're not fuzzy though. So he arrives, he parks his little, he escapes from his people running after him because they don't have any resources to run after him, I guess. And parks his little speeder outside of the hides it in a little corner and sneaks into the den of the white worms. So that's what this group is called. Lady Proxima is some sort of white worm, and they have sensitivity to light. We'll see about that later. He and other scum rats are herded in by Lady Proxima's enforcers into her underground chamber, which looks like a tunnel dug by a worm of some sort, which maybe it was. But it looks to me like it's reinforced with metal and stuff too. But
yeah,
children fight over stolen items, and so they can present it and get their portion of food or whatever it is. Han and Qi'ra embrace each other in the tunnel. He tells Qi'ra that he managed to steal a vial of coaxium, which is one of the most valuable products in the galaxy because it's used as fuel for ships to do the travel across the galaxy with the
the hyperlink.
Go into hyperspeed or whatever you want to call it. They jump out of one spot to the next. So he plans to use it as his ticket to get off world. They have plans for him to buy a ship and them to escape and be free from whatever they're involved in. Except Mulek, Psyche, and Rebolt soon catch up with him and bring Han before Lady Proxima, who lives underwater. In the scum rats and her enforcers, she asks Han for a progress report, and he claims the other criminals kept the money and the coaxium, but he learned a very valuable lesson that he can't trust those guys anymore.
Can't trust them. Or just not trust them.
They're not trustworthy at all.
No.
Lady Proxima is furious. She does actually make a noise like that. And that Han didn't come back with anything from his errand. Rebolt beats Han with a stick. A defiant Han grabs Rebolt's stick and says that he will not be beaten again without someone being beaten from him. Mulek raises his blaster, but Han stops. Qi'ra stops Mulek from shooting Han. Lady Proxima warns Qi'ra not to disobey her, and her loyalties should not lie with someone who is such a troublemaker. But then suddenly, Han pulls out a rock and claims it's a thermal detonator. But Proxima is not fooled. She reveals that Han is bluffing, and he just made a clicking noise with his mouth instead of actually activating it. But Han takes the rock and throws it at the ceiling, which breaks some glass, which is kind of odd. They're living in a place with a glass ceiling. Anyway, it breaks the glass and sunlight beams in. The enforcers and her all kind of start getting burns and right. Exposed to the beam, Proxima is badly burned in the face and dives deep beneath the pool of water. Han and Qi'ra escape in Han's stolen speeder and race out of the White Worm's den into the streets of Corinth. Han plans to drive the Corinth spaceport with a stolen coaxium and use it to bribe their way off-world. He vows to be a pilot and see the galaxy. Qi'ra hopes they will get their own starship and no longer be told what to do by anyone. They are soon pursued by Mulek in his truck speeder.
Ooh.
He's got a monster truck speeder. That thing is big.
Got an SUV.
Right. They're also carrying Corellian hounds, which seem to foam at the mouth a lot. Mulak rams the Trek speeder against Han's land speeder and narrowly avoids another truck. Han drives through an Imperial checkpoint, and an RA-7 protocol droid ejects. Hey, stop!
Whoa.
Looks like there we go. My video was frozen for a second. It says, "Hey, stop! You shouldn't go through there. You didn't check your ID." And the truck speeder hits him and chops his head off, and whatever else happens.
He lost his head.
Han's speeder is faster, and he makes it into the port a little bit before them, because they kind of do a little loopity-loop thing to avoid getting hit, and it slows down the truck speeder a little bit, and they get a head start.
That's because he's driving the sports car.
Right, he's driving the sports car. Drive through the factory, blah blah blah. Stormtroopers. They witness some stormtroopers arresting other people in the spaceport. Just hoping that it's not them. Is all they're doing, trying to get away. They kind of cover up and try to hide themselves. They basically slip into the queue where the arrested people were left vacant. And the Qi'ra is worried about being trafficked by Crimson Dawn. She says if we get caught, they're gonna send us to Crimson Dawn, and they're gonna traffic us. And she's a female, so I would be worried about that too. Because she could be trafficked as a sex slave or something.
Who knows?
Yeah, Han vows to protect her. Since they don't have an identification, they use the coaxium to bribe the Imperial immigration officer. Say, hey, I've got this here. It's worth 800 credits.
Looky.
And the customs person lets him in and opens his door, giving him just enough time to escape, except before Qi'ra can cross, Proxima's people grab her back in, pull her back in. She's actually on the other side, and they pull her back through.
Yep.
Han manages to cross, and they close the door because an alarm is sounded by the Imperial immigration officer. She says, "We have a breach," and there's all kinds of noises going off. Like I said, Rebolt and Psyche take Qi'ra, and Han vows to return for her. He's pounding on the gate saying, "No, I'll return for you. I promise. I promise to come get you."
He also gave her his lucky dice.
He did. He gave his lucky dice to kind of get her confidence. That was before they sold the coaxium, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or traded the coaxium. So when they're waiting in line. Blah, blah, blah. Worms, he witnesses a few more people being arrested. And he sees a recruitment banner advertisement come up and say, "Hey, join the army, Imperial Army. We'll teach you how to fly, and you can go throughout the galaxy." All kinds of exciting things that he wants. And he sees the recruitment desk and goes over there and says, "Hey, what do I need to do?" "Well, what do you know how to do?" "Well, I know how to fly. I'm a great pilot. I want to be a pilot and join the Navy." But he doesn't have a surname because he's ashamed or something. Who knows, or doesn't know it. But he knows his name is Han, and the recruitment officer gives him a name of Solo, and approves his application because there is no Han Solo that has a record. He proceeds to the transport ID 83, which is just ship type, and off to Flight Academy in Arcadia. So this is all the stuff that was in the past. And then, like I said, we jump 3 years in the future, and we see a fight, some sort of battlefield, people getting bombed and shot at and whatever. And all of a sudden there's an explosion, and we see someone fly across the screen, and it's Han Solo. He wakes up and is like,
He's flying.
Madness. He has been expelled from the flight academy. And he's serving as a mud trooper in this battle on the planet of Mimban. The 224th Imperial Armored Division is locked down in trench warfare against the Mambesian Liberation Army, enduring heavy casualties in the torrid, muddy weather. So apparently this planet has lots of rain and lots of mud.
Like a swamp.
Yeah. He is, again, like I said, he gets orders from a Major Stans. And moments after his orders are given, Stans is blown up right in front of him. They're almost there. Confused, Stan tells him the last ridge is where they're going to go. And he's killed. Han is one of few survivors that jump down in the trench. He finds a private Colin Welso, blah, 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 a bunch of other people we don't care about. And he runs into a Captain Tobias and is overhearing what they're saying. And someone says, who's in charge here? And they say, well, you are, Captain, because you're the highest ranking officer. So Beckett leads the soldiers into a battle, and we hear Han kind of say, what's our objective, and why are we doing this, and whatever, and he kind of gets slapped around by Beckett.
Follow orders.
Yeah. So then, not long after that, Beckett advises him to get away as far as he can, as fast as he can. But Solo keeps following them and realizing that one of them is an Aldrian alien of sort. His name's Real Durant. He's disguised as a trooper, but he's got multiple arms, and he sees him pull up his pants at one point. He's like, what the hell?
What?
And they advance. They see Solo. We get what's his name? A Lieutenant Bolendini is giving orders, and they advance. Han finds Beckett again, and they're about ready to go to the heist. They're kind of scouting out what they need, and Beckett's like, "Hey, Lieutenant, we found this guy. He's an escapee. He's trying to escape. He's trying to desert," and turns him over to Lieutenant Bandolin. Balodin, whatever. He's trying to desert, so they're gonna feed him to the beast, they said.
The beast.
So they throw him in, they chain him to his leg, and then throw him in this pit that's full of mud. And unbeknownst to us, the chain leads to the other side of the pit where some big hairy beast is being held captive. And they joke about how they haven't fed the beast in 3 days. And that it should be fun to watch. The beast is revealed to be a Wookiee named Chewbacca, whose species has been enslaved by the Empire and spread across the galaxy. Thinking he's a threat, Chewbacca attacks Han and hurls him against the girders and the mud. And just about as he's about to squish Han into the mud and suffocate him, Han starts to speak the Shirek language, which surprises Chewbacca. He's like, "What? Who? Nobody knows how to speak this language. What's going on?" They work together and stage a fight that one of the support poles is loose, so they stage a fight that breaks that pole loose. And I think Han gets thrown against the pole or something like that, and
Full times.
it falls down. The sentries fall in, and they escape, and they both go different directions, but they're still chained together. So Chewbacca is, of course, stronger, so he ends up pulling Han along, and Han eventually catches up and says, "Hey, I know a guy who's trying to get off the planet, and he's stealing a ship right now. We should go see him. They're trying to steal a Y-45 armored transport hauler. They're working on some sort of deal. I don't know what it is, but we should do it." And they finally make their way to the airfield, and just as the ship was taking off, they're like, "Hey, what about us? You forgot us." And Rio is impressed. He's like, "Hey, this guy has got some guts. He actually escaped the beast and brought him with him. What's going on?" And that guy is a Wookiee. We could use some muscle like that. And eventually Beckett is like, "Okay, we'll do it, because we could use some muscle. It's going to be a lot of lifting that I don't want to do." Right?
Yeah.
So they land the ship again and take off with them on there. And the next scene we see is them rinsing off in the shower.
Yeah. Shower. Now we got to talk about this a little bit though, because Chewie didn't want to leave the planet. He looks back, so we're led to believe that there are other Wookiees there that Chewie is wanting to see.
Either that, or he doesn't trust him. Those two things.
I think it's Chewie's family.
Well, he mentions it later on when they're by the campfire, and he wants to go get his family or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're on a different planet, and I think we'll find out later in the movie. The Wookiees we see there are his family.
Yeah.
That are, and that's Kessel, I believe, is where they're at, where they're stealing the coaxium.
But I still think there's a connection there or something, or there's somebody else that Chewie knows that maybe is a character that he doesn't want to leave.
Could very well be. Could be.
I think that's an Easter egg, but that's just me.
Maybe. From reading some of the story that's written out over here, we find out that the smaller looking Wookiee that we see is actually his wife. That's on Kessel, that he helps escape, and he leaves Solo for a moment there, and he goes and rescues his family or something like that.
Yeah.
That one is his wife and some of his other family members that we see.
Gotcha.
So that's why I don't believe that he had family there, but they do operate as tribes, which a tribe is technically a family of people, not necessarily related, I guess. So maybe he had some tribe mates there, maybe other things. There was a time when the Empire used Wookiees to fight, kind of like gladiators. They would throw them in a pit, and then some other person or animal would attack them, and they would actually bet on it and sport. It was like an arena kind of thing.
Well, so here's my thought too, though, on this too, because I thought about this later. I'm doing this kind of on purpose. So the big black Wookiee that was in Mandalorian, could it be that guy? And then he was Chewie's friend, but then ends up turning evil for the Empire or whatever.
No,
Can't think of that name.
Do
you remember who I'm talking about?
Black Qi'ra or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, right?
No, because that guy became a bounty hunter.
Okay.
not to say that Chewbacca could have been a bounty hunter too, but I think Chewbacca is more of a family man than a,
Gotcha.
out to make money for himself kind of man. I don't know. I mean, we see the same thing that happens with Qi'ra though. He's actually, we see him after he's escaped one of those arena fighting rings at some point. He does that for quite a while during his life. I'd say like, I think I saw somewhere like it was like 10 years of his life. He's fighting these arena fights and obviously always winning. He's a very popular, let's say, gladiator.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a moment that was something like there's more to it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I put too much into it. It just seemed like it was one of those moments.
Could be something that you saw that I didn't see, but I don't know.
All right, carry on.
Okay, so they're in the shower together. Han says, "Hey, couldn't we done this separately?" And Chewbacca just kind of roars, "I'm dirty. I want to get clean. Leave me alone."
Just told him to drop the soap.
Exactly. And when they come out, we see him. Han's all clean and he's proud of himself, and then Chewbacca comes out and he's all got the luxurious hair going on there. The I don't know, the 80s look. Yeah, there you go, like that going on all over the place. He's out there enjoying being clean for once for a long time, I'm sure. After they escape, transport to the mountain world of Vandor. While watching over the Story Mountains from the holler, Han thanks Chewbacca for saving him. Blah, blah, blah. He tells Chewbacca of his plan to do one job with Beckett and return to their freedom. And Chewbacca accepts the deal. And he asks him what his name is. He says it's Chewbacca. And he says, "Well, I'm not going to say that all the time. That's too much. We're going to have to get you a nickname." And I think eventually he settles for Chewie.
Yep.
Which they spell it out as Chewie. I've always thought it was Chewy, but whatever, they're the same thing, I guess. After landing, Beckett enlists the two in a plan to steal some coaxium from a 20T rail crawler transport, which basically just a train, right? Transport train that's automated.
Yep.
On Vandor. While surveying the train tracks from a distance, Beckett outlines his plan, which involves hitting the convex between the towers and the bridge. Rio will drop down on the convex, and they can separate the payload container, which has the coaxium in it, with the AT hauler. Rio jams communication signals, and Val blows up the bridge, allowing them to fly away, which sounds good. But as we see it, there's a few problems.
Nothing could go wrong.
This is where they sit around the fire and start talking about themselves. And Han says what he wants to do. He wants to go back and get his girlfriend, Qi'ra. Chewbacca's got family. Beckett wants to settle down after he pays off his debts. Maybe with Val, we don't know. She's kind of frisky about it. Rio is just, he doesn't want to be tied down. He wants to go out and be free. Family. Yeah. All right. So then the next day we see them flying over the train, whatever you want to call it, with their transport hauler. And Han and Chewbacca land on the cargo wagon, carrying the coaxium while Val sets up position on the bridge. Beckett and the team presence is soon drawn attention by range troopers who are probably guarding the train inside. They exchange a lot of firefight, pew pew pew, pew pew, and they hand them on hand battle a little bit. Eventually, they defeat all of those guys. And we see where Han and Chewie narrowly escape being crushed by rocks as they're holding on to the outside of the train. Apparently, the train is designed to fit just exactly into some spots. Probably not for any reason. It's probably just chopped off on purpose that way.
Well, the track kind of is on a tilt, though. It's kind of angled, and the trains have like magnetic boots.
Right, so they wouldn't come off.
Yeah,
as easy. And that's also used kind of like gravity too, right?
True. Yeah.
Because we saw in one of the Star Wars movies, the sequels, where they were on top of that Star Destroyer with the horses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They had gravity boots then too. Okay, so they begin working together. The two manage to detach one of the cars, and it kind of releases the rear half of the train, and they catch up with Rio or Beckett as Rio is lowering cables. They begin to connect them to the car they want, and they're getting ready to escape, and suddenly some swoop bikes jump in, and the Enfys Nest team comes in to steal their spoils. Right? They start throwing harpoons and such at the thing. They shoot. They use their little speeders to knock them off the top and all kinds of stuff. Blaster fire. And we see where one of the Enfys Nest team gets on the ship and has a shootout with Rio and wounds Rio really badly. He basically says that he's okay, but we can see he's lying and he's not doing well, and they can see he can't stir the ship very well at all. And Beckett's like, he's not well. Because he can't control the ship. And Solo sees an opportunity and says, I'll take care of it. Jumps up onto the hauler and rights it back up. But Rio is much more wounded than he said. And Solo can see that he is very bad off, but he still doesn't believe he's going to die. Even though we'll see in a little bit he does. He tells Chewbacca that he's going to have to uncouple the last train himself as he climbs on the hauler. And they trip a security sensor in the process as they're fighting off some of the Enfys Nest people. And Beckett warns Val that the sensor's been tripped and Viper droids are dispatched. Val shoots down several of them and turns the attention on her, but she gets pinned down and cannot leave her post because she's pinned down by these Viper droids. And it depends on her to blow the bridge, but she can't get away. So she goes ahead and sacrifices herself because she sees no other way. She's going to get killed either way. The Viper droid is going to kill her or the bridge is going to kill her. So she blows the bridge anyway. And we see Rio Durant tells Solo that, hey, you actually do know how to fly. And that he does not, he says that Val is right and that you should not die alone. And then he suddenly collapses and he's dead.
He's gone.
Beckett fights off the rest of the Enfys Nests on the top of the wagon, except for a few. However, the train is rapidly approaching the bridge, and again, Val blows the bridge because she can't escape, so she ends up dying in that explosion. She confesses her love for Beckett at the time. After a small struggle, Chewbacca manages to detach the container, and the container is floating up in the air off the rail. And there are a few of the Enfys nests still trying to attack, and they use one of those sticks that has the energy field on it, and they're burning off the
cables,
the connectors they have. Because it's becoming unbalanced, because maybe they have not enough connectors to hold the weight, Solo makes a decision to detach, and the coaxium goes floating down into the ravine and hits a wall, and you can see everybody running as fast as they can because they know what's about to happen.
That's not good.
Boom.
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah. Chewbacca happens to grab Beckett so he doesn't fall during the disconnection of the cables. And we, jump to a new scene. Beckett is standing kneeled in front of a memorial where he is basically buried Val and Rio. We don't know if he ever found Val's thing, but she puts like her gun there or whatever as a post to mark it. And he's upset with Solo. As soon as he decides to turn around, he smacks Solo in the face with his big old fist, and he reveals that they're not just stealing it for themselves; they're stealing it for Dryden Boss to repay a debt. And Dryden Boss is a leader in the Crimson Dawn criminal syndicate, which we find out later was run by Darth Maul. And that's part of when Darth Maul took over as the ruler of Mandalore. That's where he formed the Crimson Dawn, was about that time. Which is around the time of all our Mandalorian stuff too. See in the movies or the shows. So Han proposes deserting, but Beckett counters that Boss needs Boss sends out bounty hunters to hunt people down, unlike the Empire, and that they will be found and killed either way. So they should go check in and try to make amends. Han agrees to come along in order to make things right, and they ask Chewbacca if he could come along as well, and Chewbacca agrees. And we hear Han say, "That means yes," when Chewbacca responds. Yeah, that means yes. So then we end up at some sort of dock that's in the middle of the mountains where the ship is Dryden Boss's yacht has landed. What happened? It repeated itself here. Blah, blah, blah. Beckett advises Chewbacca, keep your eyes. Okay. So they arrive at the yacht, and they see travel to the outskirts. Okay. Yacht, and they arrive after surrendering their weapons to Captain Eamon Grimm. They enter a public gallery, and Beckett's team enters the yacht hallway. Beckett speaks to Boss's concierge, Margot, which is some extremely white type of being. and she says he needs to talk to boss. She tells him that the boss is occupied with the governor of a province, Governor Dillis and Bell, who we see boss kill almost immediately, and he has some sort of weird blade weapon, and he puts it on a plate, takes a drink, and says, "Put this in my office. I might need it later." So that's when Beckett advises Han and Chewie to keep their eyes down. He says, "Hey, you don't know these people. They don't know you. You don't want to know these people. Just keep your eyes down and shut up and don't say anything to anybody. But while you're here, go ahead and eat and drink what you can.
Might be your last.
It's good food." Yeah, it might be your last meal. And Han is unexpectedly reunited with Qi'ra. He's walking around and she taps him on the shoulder. And he's like, "Look, Chewie," and it's not Chewie, it's Qi'ra. This Chewie's kind of clinging to him, which I understand because that's the only person he knows, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else. So they drink together. Qi'ra and Han drink together, reminisce about the past, and Beckett soon arrives with Boss, and they introduce Han and Chewie to him. Boss reveals that Qi'ra is a top lieutenant. Dun, dun, dun. Surprise. After exchanging pleasantries, Boss chastises Beckett for underestimating Enfys Nest and tells Beckett to give him a reason not to kill him now. What? Since there are few available stocks of coaxium in the Imperial hands, Han proposes stealing unrefined coaxium from Kessel, which he doesn't say Kessel. To start with, he just says unrefined, and Qi'ra says, "Oh, I know there's some on Kessel." So he agrees, and the problem is the Pike Syndicate runs mining operations on that planet, which that's where they get a lot of their spice from Kessel.
Yep.
Boss is unwilling to jeopardize the Syndicate's business relationship with the Pikes, but Han says, "Hey, Beckett and I have no alliance to them. We have no alliance with the Pikes and no alliance with you. Let's just pretend like we don't know who Crimson Dawn is and go do it." And Boss is like, sounds like a possibility.
That sounds like a good plan.
Sounds like if I don't kill him, they're gonna kill him anyway. Basically, is what he's thinking. But he says, "Hey, since you suggested Kessel, Qi'ra, I'm sending you with them to watch them. Make sure they get it this time and don't fail." So they determined that the unstable coaxium must be processed quickly before it deteriorates. And Beckett's along with Chewie. I think Chewie says it first. He says Severine, and Han says, "Did he say Severine?" And Beckett says, "Yes, Severine. That's where that's not under Imperial control anymore, and they have an old processing plant there for coaxium." So they depart with Qi'ra and everything towards their ship to find some coaxium. Knowing that they would need a very fast ship, Qi'ra says she has a contact at the lodge at Fort Yasipo, and she introduces them to Lando Calrissian, actually through a card game, right? So he's basically says he can play cards and
can be anybody.
He's reported that Lando reportedly owns a smuggling ship that's one of the fastest in the galaxy by playing sabacc, which is interesting. I actually have Sabacc cards that Amy gave me for Christmas last year. Haven't played the game yet, but it's kind of like a weird version of poker, I guess. But anyway,
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's got straights and runs and all that kind
Yep.
of stuff. Walking past two dueling droids, they find Lando playing Sabacc with several alien patrons. Against Qi'ra and Chewbacca's device, Han challenges Lando to a game of Sabacc, seeking to win his ship. Han wins the first few rounds and collects several credits. Looks like quite a pile to me. Well, Han and Lando are playing. The Cloud Rider Weasel is spying on them. Weasel is, I guess, with Enfys Nest. Han agrees to a second round and plays a wager on Lando's ship, reputed to be the fastest in the galaxy again. However, Lando uses a sleight of hand to win. He's got a trick card thing in his sleeve. He flicks it and it pops up the card he wants, which is usually like the card that he shows is like an ace card. Like a full Sabacc is what he calls it, but it's a 4 of a kind.
Got ace in the hole.
Yep, it's got an ace in the hole. Following the game, Lando speaks to Qi'ra, and who tells him they need a ship capable of doing the Kessel Run. And Beckett manages to convince Calrissian to join the mission. And there's a little negotiation going on there. He's like, I need 50%. And they laugh at him. And Beckett says 25%. And he's like, no, 40. I want 40. I'm providing the ship and all the expertise and stuff.
Get all the rest.
And Beckett's like, no, it's going to be 25. And Calrissian says, okay, I'll do it. And he talks to Beckett and recalls that he's the one who killed bounty hunter Aurora Singh. And Beckett says something like, no, I pushed her. She fell. I think the fall killed her. Han and his companions also encounter Lando's droid, the co-pilot, L337, who is has female programming and is avowed droid rights advocate. She objects to the droids fighting in the pits at the lodge and picks a fight with the owner, who objects to her stopping his droids from fighting. He's got the better life than he's had ever before here. And L3 almost chokes the owner, but Lando convinces her to let him go. Despite L3's misgivings about the newcomer, Lando and the others set out for Lando's ship, which has been impounded. But he doesn't tell him that to begin with. He says, I keep it in a secure place. We just have to get to it. And L3 has to cut through a fence for them to get into the lot. And then they find that the ship has got impounding boots on it, where they can't get out without taking them off. And Lando says that he's done some upgrades on the ship and all that stuff, and added an escape pod and a bar, a wet bar. Beckett says he can remove the gravity locks. A wet bar. Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. But Beckett says he has to take 5% off of Lando's cut, reducing it to 20%. And Lando reluctantly agrees, or he states he's reluctant, but he agrees immediately. As the ship disembarks, well, it doesn't say here, but Beckett asks Chewbacca to help him because he's got the strength.
Yeah.
And as they leave, the Weasel informs Enfys Nest that they have planted a homing beacon on the ship, and Enfys Nest gambles that they survive and will bring the price to them, whatever that means. So while traveling aboard the Falcon, Han tells Lando that he recognizes the ship from the Y-1300 light freighter that his father worked on in the CEC plant, which is the Corellian something. Let's see. Corellian Engineering Corporation plant before he got laid off. Solo's dad built and wanted to be a pilot. Lando remarks that his mother was the most amazing woman he ever known. So Lando basically tells us that he's a mama's boy. And that's why maybe he's wearing capes.
I was say that's why he's got a cape.
Yeah. L3 arrives and ushers Solo out of the co-pilot seat because that's her job, and sets the hyperspace course for Kessel, and they jump into light speed. Lando explains that they have to travel through the Acadesia Maelstrom to reach Kessel. Meanwhile, Beckett plays Derelict with Chewbacca, which is a version of chess with live action figures. I think they're holograms, but they're live action sort of. Beckett uses one of his pieces to take out Chewbacca's piece and angers the Wookiee. And he slams his fist on the hologram set. Beckett schools Chewbacca and has to think a few steps ahead. And Han kind of mentions that, hey, Wookiees can pull your arm off when they're mad.
Maybe you should let it go.
Han asks, where's Qi'ra? But Beckett replies that people are predictable. And Han walks to Qi'ra's quarters where she's trying on a blue cape. Qi'ra asks about Han for his plan for Kessel, and he wants to ask her about her experiences following the separation of Corellia, but Qi'ra is not interested. They kiss, and the two embrace, and Beckett walks in on them and reminds them they have lots of work to do. In private, Beckett tells Han that he is making a big mistake by trusting Qi'ra. He tells Han that him and Chewbacca would make a good crew, but he doesn't trust Qi'ra. And Beckett advises Han to trust nobody and to assume that everybody will betray him. Han thinks this is a lonely way to live, but Beckett says this is the only way to live. I guess as a person for hire, that's the way you have to go. Lando and L3 take the Falcon out of hyperspace and arrive at the Maelstrom. Lando checks on the damps and asks L3 if she needs anything, and she sarcastically replies she needs equal rights. As the ship travels through the cluster, Qi'ra arrives in the cockpit, and L3 explains the sound is caused by carbon bergs, the planet-sized objects crashing into each other. He warns that it's dangerous for ships to travel through the Maelstrom, and L3 asks Qi'ra about her plan and notices the brand on her hand. When L3 points out that Han is in love with Qi'ra, she denies it, but L3 confides that Lando is infatuated with her, and she doesn't share the same feelings for Lando. But she kind of alludes to a weird kind of relationship.
Lava.
Right.
Lava.
A little bit of robot love going on there.
Mm.
As they approach Kessel, Beckett briefs the team on their plan to reach the thermal vault where the coaxium is stored. He warns everyone to stick to the plan because, he knows that Solo doesn't follow directions very well. The Falcon lands in a clearing at the base of the mine where they are greeted by several pikes, including Capo Way Tosto. Qi'ra poses as a slaver. Osakana Florin. She has some sort of weird mask thing going on. What's it got? Tusks or something on it, I think.
Yeah.
I pull it up, but it doesn't show up. One of the pike forces Chewbacca and Han Solo to their knees with the pike sticks and inspects them. Kosto sends Han and Chewbacca to be clipped before leaving. Clipped. It's probably some sort of tracker or clipped into a, castrated. I don't know. Before leaving, Qi'ra punches Han in the gut.
Being nipped.
Yeah. He punches Han in the gut, but discreetly passes him his lucky charm, the dice on the chain.
Yeah.
For good luck. So she says, "Hey, I'm doing this, but trust me, I know what I'm doing.
I got this under control."
Yeah. Qi'ra, L3, and Beckett accompany the Pikes into the control room while Han and Chewie are led into the mines. L3 translates for the Pike because the rest of them can't speak Galactic Basic for some reason.
Hey man,
it's the Pike that can't speak Galactic Basic.
My wifey tells me it's time I gotta go, dude. So you have to finish on your own.
We're almost done. Halfway through, maybe.
Yeah. I gotta go.
All right.
I've gotten 2 already. I ignored the first one. The second one just came.
All right.
I'll catch you later, man.
Yep. Thanks for joining. All right, that was Rick. He had to go, so we're going to continue on. Qi'ra watches with concern. Surveillance camera as Han and Chewie are beaten by the Pike. Insists that Florin's security attaché wait outside the office while Tolstoy is looking, and Han and Chewie turn the tables on their guards as the camera feed fades. Han locks out the guard, but Chewie ends up pulling the arms off his captors. Whoops. Back in the control room, Beckett tricks 2 guards into holding his Pike and shoots them. While Beckett eliminates the remaining guards, Qi'ra defeats and kills Tolstoy with martial art called Qi'ra Kasai, which Dryden taught her. L3 is impressed with Qi'ra's combat skills, but we're more impressed with Chewbacca tearing off the arms of his captors. Interesting. In the mines, disguised, Han and Chewie mingle among the slaves and guards. L3 speaks to a admin tech and frees him of his restraining bolt. She convinces him to free his droid's brethren while she directs Han and Chewbacca to the thermal vault through the control center. The liberated droids free the slaves of the remote-controlled restraints and chains, sparking a droid and slave uprising in the mines. As they approach the vaults, Chewbacca breaks off to free his Wookiee slave, a Wookiee slave named Sagawa. Han passes a Pike, which he uses to attack the guards who are beating Sagawa. And I look up Sagawa, and this is the one. Sagawa was a Wookiee male who was imprisoned by the Galactic Empire in the mines of Kessel, was freed by Chewbacca and participated in a breakout along with Kaka and other slaves. Yeah. Chewbacca, Wookiee. He was a fellow Wookiee from the Imperial Patrols of Fish and Sparring Weakness. Blah blah blah. He was captured by the Imperials and sent to the mines. So following Beckett's directions, Han reaches the vault and incapacitates the guard. After L3 unlocks the vault, Han steals 12 unrefined coaxium canisters. Meanwhile, Lando reminisces his 5th chapter of the Calrissian Chronicles. He's relaxed on the ship and he's just dictating these out without any worries, which deals with his encounters on Sharu. Sharu were a group that Lando Calrissian and L3 encountered prior to the raid on Kessel. Sharu has a sacred temple Calrissian encountered. All right, it doesn't talk about it much. Lando is distracted by the noise resulting from the uprising of L3 and her droids, and she's found her true purpose, to release droids and prisoners. Han struggles to pull a sled carrying the canisters, but is noticed by Pike guards. Suddenly, Chewbacca comes to the rescue and takes out the guards with his pike. Sagawa and Chewie help Han push out the canisters. Lando exits the Falcon to join the battle as Han and the rest of the team fight their way out with the liberated slaves and droids. Han and Lando shoot several Pike sentries. Beckett and Qi'ra exit the mines, and L3 cheers. Long live the revolution. While Chewbacca and Chewie load the coaxium canisters aboard the Falcon, Han and the others exchange fire with the Pike sentries, who have brought in a sonic cannon. Before they can leave, L3 is fatally damaged by gunfire. The grieving Lando comes to the aid of the dying L3, who succumbs to system failure. And Lando is hit, and Han comes to his aid, driving the sentries away. The slave Tak leads the slaves out to safety. Chewbacca embraces Sagawa before leaving with Han and Lando. Chewie carries a wounded Lando aboard the Falcon, while Qi'ra takes out the Pike's cannon with a grenade, which causes an inferno fire. While the distraught Lando cradles the disintegrated L3, Beckett orders Han to get them out of Kessel. Han flies the Falcon out of the mine into the skies of Kessel, while Lando mourns the loss of L3. Qi'ra volunteers as Han's co-pilot. They are joined by Chewbacca, while Beckett seals the hidden storage compartment that contains the coaxium. As they approach the maelstrom, Lando warns that they have to hurry due to the volatile nature of the refined coaxium. The Falcon soon encounters a Star Destroyer, which has exited hyperspace in response to the rebellion in Kessel. Lando wants to drop the shipment, but Qi'ra warns that Dryden will kill them if they fail. Seeking to recover the Falcon's stolen cargo, the Star Destroyer patches several TIE fighters and heavy fighters in pursuit. Han flies the Falcon around the Star Destroyer, and the Imperial TIE fighters give chase. Due to the volatile nature of the refined coaxium, Lando estimates the completion of Kessel Run is impossible before the fuel detonates. The conventional route would have never been done is less than 20 parsecs. Han proposes taking a shortcut through the maelstrom, which Lando regards as suicidal. Han convinces Lando to download L3's neural cords, which contain her navigational data, into the Falcon's systems so they can calculate their trajectory. Han takes the Falcon and its TIE pursuers through the dangerous storm clouds of the Maelstrom, while Beckett mans the ship's ventral laser cannon, taking out TIE fighters as they go. However, the third fighter manages to evade Beckett's laser cannon and inflicts damage on top of the Falcon's hull, causing Lando to fall. Han rolls the Falcon and strikes the TIE fighter with its side, sending it into an asteroid. More TIE fighters pursue, but prompting Han to state they need to divert their power to the rear shield generator. Chewbacca does so and causes Han to ask where he learned to fly, and Chewbacca responds that he is 190 years old. What? You don't look that old to me. So Qi'ra checks on Lando in the passenger area and uses one of the red capes to douse the fire despite his protests. No, not my cape. Ah! A TIE fighter manages to shoot the Falcon's rear ventral cannon, causing it to break off. Han flies the Falcon deeper into the Maelstrom with a TIE hot on its tail. Mimicking a move copied from Corellia streetcar race, Han gets Chewbacca to deploy the landing gear as the Falcon scrapes against the surface of an asteroid. This damages the landing gear, but uproots rocks and debris, one of them which breaches the TIE fighter's cockpit. Han then takes the Falcon deeper into the Maelstrom. Meanwhile, Lando and Qi'ra manage to retrieve L3's internal processor. Beckett observes that coaxium vials are becoming more and more unstable and alerts the others. He says, hey, we need to hurry. Danger, danger. Lando and Qi'ra manage to install L3's processor. As they reach the Maul cluster, L3 constructs a model of the Maelstrom and warns them that they are approaching massive Summa Vermouth, which is something big. The Falcon soon finds themselves face to face with the monster. The crew tries to escape the monster, but ends up arriving in a large gravity well, which Lando identifies as the Maul. Thinking fast, Han ejects the Falcon's escape pod into the well for the Summa Vermouth to follow, which takes the bait. Guiding the ship's systems, Lando finds a way out 90 degrees to the left. However, the Falcon is trapped in the gravity well. And Qi'ra and Lando convince the rest of the team to inject a drop of coaxium into the fusion core to give them the kick they need to escape the gravity well. Carrying out the plan, Beckett retrieves a drop of coaxium. It's a very risky attempt. Meanwhile, the Vermouth is pulled into the Maul and ripped apart. The big monster. As Solo commands, Beckett boosts the ship's infusion core with a drop of coaxium, which briefly supercharges their engines. Despite the false start, the hyperdrive comes online, and the Falcon jumps into light speed before the Maelstrom closes in on them. After making the Kessel Run, Solo and his companions land on Savareen to rendezvous with Voss. As the Falcon approaches the Bis refinery, Solo radios the traffic controller, warning that he is coming with cargo of coaxium that needs to be offloaded immediately. Danger, danger. The damaged Falcon circles the coastal refinery before landing on a landing pad. Due to its damaged landing gear, the Falcon is lopsided. As the coaxium is offloaded, Solo quips that he made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs with some generous rounding. Han puts his arm around an unamused Lando, who's grieving over the loss of L3 and is furious at the damage with his ship. He tells Han that he will be waiting aboard in his quarters for his share of the money and vows not to see him again. Han finds Qi'ra at the bar of the nearby coastal village and asks when Voss is coming. Qi'ra reassures him that he will get paid for doing his job. When Solo asks Qi'ra about her servitude to Dryden, she explains that the crime lord helped her out in a bad situation. He asks how long it will be for her to pay off the debt, and Qi'ra warns her that everybody, including Voss, serves someone, and not to make any enemy of Voss, Dryden Voss. Han says he can take care of himself. I'm no longer a kid. She knew on Corellia. When Qi'ra asks who he is, Han says he is an outlaw. She tells him that she is the only person in the galaxy who knows that he is a good guy. Han disagrees and says that he is a terrible person, and Beckett reminds the two about the coaxium. While walking through the village, Han and his companion notice that much of it lies in ruins, that the inhabitants are impoverished. While visiting the bar, the group are surrounded by Enfys and her Cloud Riders. What? Han tries to lift a blaster out of his holster, but Beckett counsels him not to. Solo attempts to intimidate the Cloud Riders by claiming to have a complement of armed mercenaries aboard the Millennium Falcon. However, Lando takes off immediately aboard the Falcon, leaving Han and his companions behind. Beckett claims the Crimson Dawn will be here by the time the coaxium has been refined, and dares them to kill them. Qi'ra proposes a compromise, but Beckett dismisses the Cloud Riders as marauders who only know how to kill. However, Enfys steps forward to face Beckett and removes her mask, revealing herself as a young human girl. She walks past a shocked Beckett and tells them that she needs a drink. Inside, they tell Han his companions how the Crimson Dawn originated from a band of mercenaries who plundered a planet. When the inhabitants rebelled, the mercenaries responded by cutting out their tongues of every last man, woman, and child. Enfys explained that she and the Cloud Riders are from populations who have been terrorized by Crimson Dawn and the other 5 crime syndicates. She warns Han and his companions that the Crimson Dawn will use their stolen coaxium to plunder more systems. When Han asks what the Cloud Riders use the coaxium for, she tells them that they need the coaxium for their rebel cause. Sympathetic to the Cloud Riders' cause, Solo tells Beckett they cannot give the coaxium to Dryden Voss. Beckett doesn't care and asks Solo if he has a plan. Solo says that he has a plan to get their money without giving up the coaxium. Beckett warns that Dryden has a private army and suggests an alternate plan. From a distance, Enfys asks what Solo and Beckett are discussing, and Qi'ra says he is going to help them. After their meeting, Beckett invites Solo to come with him, but Han declines the offer. Before leaving, Beckett tells Han that he is going to Tatooine, where a big shot gangster is recruiting a crew for a job. Beckett sees it as an opportunity to pay off his debts. When Dryden Voss lands his yacht, Han, along with Qi'ra and Chewbacca, go deliver the purportedly fake coaxium canisters to Crimson Dawn Prime Lord. Entering the ship, a masked guard welcomes Qi'ra home and tells her that Voss is waiting for them. When they ask about Han and Chewie's weapons, Qi'ra vouches for them. The trio go up a turbo lift, and Han is confident of winning, but Qi'ra says the trick is surviving rather than winning. Reaching Voss's living room, they are greeted by Voss, who seems pleased with their plan. Qi'ra claims that Beckett did not survive, while Han claims that Beckett died saving his life on Kessel. Voss expresses admiration for Beckett's principles and thanks Han and his team for following his example. Qi'ra claims that Han and Chewbacca would make great mercenaries with their own ship. Voss is pleased that the top Lieutenant Qi'ra has survived. Everything here is all suspicious to start with. They're all kind of not trusting each other. When Han asks for his payment, Voss asks to see the coaxium. Han opens up the storage vial and brings out a sample of the processed coaxium, which Voss asks to see one. Han claims it's volatile, but complies when Voss insists. Voss surprises Han's team by announcing that the coaxium is fake and reveals that he is aware of Han's plan to sell the real shipment to the Cloud Riders. Han thinks Qi'ra betrayed him, but Voss responds that Qi'ra has a weak spot for Solo. Voss then reveals his inside man as Beckett. What? Who walks into the room. After apologizing to Han, Beckett reminds him about his lesson not to trust anybody. Beckett orders Han to surrender while the guard checks the lid. A defiant Han responds that is too late because Enfys Nest has it. And Beckett responds that they have figured that as Captain Amin and his enforcers storm the nearby village, capture the masked Cloud Riders, and seize the coaxium containers. Voss asks Qi'ra what to do with the traitor, Han, and Qi'ra responds that she would want to know why and to prove their loyalty by sacrificing something they loved. One of Voss raises a sword, and Beckett says that he tried to warn Han about her. However, Han responds that he was paying attention to Beckett's advice and knows that people are predictable. Meanwhile, the enforcers discover that the coaxium containers are empty and the Cloud Riders are villagers serving as decoys. The real Cloud Riders, including Enfys Nest and Armenian Isilo, soon emerge from hiding to ambush Voss's enforcers. One fires a rocket launcher at the enforcers, disorientating them, and the Cloud Riders disarm all of the enforcers. Back aboard Voss's ship, Han mockingly asks Voss if he sent all of his enforcers, and Beckett realizes that he has the real coaxium with Solo. Abandoning Voss, Beckett shoots the two remaining guards and forces Han at gunpoint to load the coaxium into the case. He also takes Chewbacca as hostage and leaves with the containers. A furious Voss warns Beckett of making a big mistake, but the criminal ignores him before traveling down the turbo lift with Chewbacca and the coaxium. Dun, dun, dun. Once Beckett is left, Han grabs his blaster and fires at Voss. Pew, 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 pew. Who retrieves a custom Kuso petars, which are some sort of vibroblade weapons. You put them around your knuckles with your hand, kind of like the old mob knuckle fighters things. Like I said, they light up and have some sort of energy force on them that can cut through whatever, kill people. Blah, blah, blah. Grabs his gun. Voss manages to knock the blaster out of Han's hands and chases Han around the room, hurling his daggers. While Han is distracted with Voss, Qi'ra draws a sword and manages to pin Solo to the ground, knocking the blaster out of his hand. Qi'ra apologizes, while Voss says that Qi'ra is loyal to Crimson Dawn. However, Qi'ra quickly reveals that it was a ruse and strikes the unexpected Voss with her weapon. Voss fights back with the petars, but Qi'ra gains the upper hand and kills him by slashing him in the chest. Qi'ra tells Han to go after Chewbacca and Beckett. telling him that they give their coaxium to the Enfys, and they will need something else to buy a new ship. Before parting company, Qi'ra embraces Han and reminds him to look after Chewbacca and smile as she tells him she is right behind him. I think he steals some of the jewels and stuff that they fought around. After Han leaves, Qi'ra moves Dryden's boss ring and uses it to seal the living room. Alone aboard Voss's yacht, Qi'ra contacts Voss's superior, who reveals to be the former Sith apprentice Darth Maul. She informs him of the coaxium mission failed and assumes Voss's position, but carefully avoids telling him about Han's involvement, instead pinning the blame on Beckett. She claims that Beckett stole the coaxium shipment using the Force to summon his lightsaber. Maul orders Qi'ra to bring the yacht to the planet of Darth Maul and tells her that she'll be working more closely with him in the future. Meanwhile, Han catches up with Beckett and Chewbacca along the coast. Beckett says that Han is relentless, while Han tells Chewie that he came as fast as he could. Han confirms that Dryden is dead and Qi'ra killed him. Beckett says that Han still doesn't understand that Qi'ra is a survivor. Han responds that Beckett's problems and he thinks that everyone is like him. Beckett responds that Han is not like him. He tries to trick Han into lowering his guard by offering to tell something while he reaches for his blaster. Before Beckett can shoot, Han shoots first, always shooting first. Kind of like he does in the Star Wars New Hope. Shooting first. He fatally wounds Beckett, and Han helps the dying Beckett, who compliments Han for his quick thinking, admitting that he would have killed him, and Han had not reacted. Beckett praises Han for his courage and on the Vandor mountain before breathing out his last breath. Han watches as Qi'ra departs on the yacht First Light, having given Solo a clean break from his debts to the Crimson Dawn. Qi'ra watches Han and Chewbacca from the viewport, and Chewie puts a comforting hand on Han. Following the deaths of Voss and Beckett, Han and Chewbacca deliver the refined coaxium to the nest. We reveal their plans to use the coaxium, which is worth 60 million credits, to aid the rebellion against the Empire. She offers Han the chance to join her, but he declines. In response, Nest states that someday he may feel more sympathetic to the rebel cause. Out of gratitude for his help, Nest gives Sol a vial of coaxium, enough to buy a ship for himself. Elsewhere, Han and Chewbacca soon track down Lando in the jungle outpost of Numanden Prime, where Lando is regaling patrons about his adventures in the Star Cave Nebula. Han shields Lando for leaving them on Savine before embracing him. When Lando asks for his cut, Han replies he is not getting any since they barely survived the last adventure. After exchanging pleasantries, Han again challenges Lando to a game of sabacc, the game for possession of the Falcon. Han had previously subtly relieved Lando of his card that he had stashed up his sleeve, and therefore wins the game. After acquiring the Falcon, Han tells Chewie that he has plans to go to Tatooine, where Beckett told him that a gangster is putting together an organization, and the Falcon then jumps into hyperspace. The credits roll. Credits roll. I hope my video isn't as staggered as it is here. But the first thing we're going to do here right away is ask for feedback. Feedback. That's right. So we want your feedback. We want everything. Feedback at KyleJohansson.us. That's feedback. KaileJohansson.us. We also have feedback on a link on our website. It should be listed down here eventually. It'll be on the left-hand side. There'll be a link. You fill out the form, send it to us. It actually goes to the same email address. We're on Twitter/X at super_duper_pod. We're on Blue Sky at Rebel Alliance Briefing Room. We're on YouTube as well. You can find video and audio there. Please leave some comments and give us feedback. So my general thoughts about this movie is a pretty good standalone movie. It kind of scattered itself a little bit. Ron Howard's the director, and he kind of does that kind of thing. He jumps a little bit every once in a while. I would have liked to known a little bit more about actual Han Solo. We actually just kind of follow him on one of his adventures in the beginning of his smuggling career, I guess, before he joins the Hutts to basically end up smuggling spice, which most gangsters end up doing, because that's the thing. Spice is the fun time chemical of the time, I guess. Anyway, as we were saying in the beginning, I'd love to get more story of Han Solo. Love to hear a lot more of Lando. I think maybe Lando is a more interesting character, and I think we catch up with Lando, and he's probably in his early 20s or 30s, but he's already had a pretty exciting life as a smuggler, which we hear at the beginning he's retired from smuggling, and we find out temporarily. Anyway, that's great. Let's wrap this up since we don't have any banter going on. Let's just wrap it up.
Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KaileJohansson.us. That's RABR.KaileJohansen.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KaileJohansen.us. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott, and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or any or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. I am Kyle Jon Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton.
No, Andrew.
Say goodbye now.
And Rick is gone too, so Rick had to leave early, of course you saw, and Scott is having a bad day, and he's got some drugs in him to help with the pain and suffering he's going through. So he probably wouldn't have been very coherent. It actually might have been funny to have him on here, but he didn't feel like even dialing in. So there we go. Hope to see you soon. we're gonna review another episode of Star Wars. Actually, we're gonna do the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and we're gonna split it up. Because there's so much meat in there, I'm gonna split it in half. We're gonna do half of the series next week and half the series the week after that. So we'll see you then. Bye.